All right, Lauren, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so thrilled to have you on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So to kick us off, tell me your name, your company, and your title.
My name is Lauren Mundell, and my company is HiCurious, and I'm the founder and CEO.
So what is HiCurious and what brought you to starting it?
HiCurious is the antidote to mainstream social media for cannabis brands and curious consumers and creators. So basically, what we do is we help people in the cannabis industry monetize their cannabis communities and actually really just build their cannabis communities, because as you know, there's really nowhere on social media where you can build a community in a safe place that you can keep going back to and that people can feel like they're safe and there's no censorship. So
Mhm.
I I started HiCurious because of that.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your journey with cannabis and what brought you to the point that you were like, we need social media for this.
Yeah. So I actually didn't start using cannabis until I was 43. I had tried it in college and I had what I now know is a panic attack at the same time.
Mhm.
And I now, so then when I was 43, my husband was retiring from the Navy Reserves. And he was like, I can't wait to smoke weed. And I was like, we're not doing that. And he's like, we live in New York. Like, I'm commuting to New York City. Like, and he's like, well, I am. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not. And hopefully this will just be like a thing that he just like does a few times and like I won't have to deal with it anymore. So then after a while, I saw how happy he was. And I was very, very curious about it because I was like, this does not look like how I felt in college, and how
Mhm.
everybody's always been saying, dare and say no to drugs and all this. And I believed all that. But this person who I love is like happy and better. And I want that. So I started using it, but I was afraid to use too much. So I would microdose. I didn't know it was called microdosing. But as a wellness marketer who had been working on Advil and Centrum and Emergency and helping brands at PepsiCo, Frito-Lay become wellness brands, working on the Splenda business, I was always like, what is a wellness supplement? Wellness supplement is something that you use to make your life better, make you feel better. And that's what cannabis was becoming for me. I would just have this little bit and I would go about my activities and I would just feel better. And so I got really excited about cannabis personally, as well as then I was like, wow, this is a really interesting market. And I'm super curious about building a business in this space. And what I realized was that there was nowhere for people to post social media content in a safe way that wouldn't potentially get censored. And what I was looking for was to learn more than just seeing people, do the things that they do on social media, whether they're getting shut down or not. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know, how does it make you feel? I wanted to watch someone get high and like see how they were. I wanted to learn about different strains. I wanted to go deeper. And so that's why I built HiCurious, so that we have a place now where people can learn from other people how they use cannabis as a part of their healthy lifestyle.
And what year did HiCurious kick off?
So I started the brand as like a DBA in 2019, and I started building the HiCurious app in 2019. We fully incorporated as HiCurious in 2020, but yeah.
Gotcha. So you've been in the industry for a few years, you've seen things start to unfold. What's something you're really excited to see?
Well, I'm really excited to see more people coming out of the cannabis closet. I think it's been really interesting. I've been spending a lot of time on Clubhouse lately. I attend this session every Sunday morning, led by High Society Mama on Clubhouse. And it's all about canna moms. And, each week there's a different topic. And I've been blown away just hearing how many women are using cannabis, have been using cannabis, have always used cannabis as a part of their lifestyle, but they just were never confident talking about it because they were afraid of all the ramifications that could happen to them, whether it be before they were parents and getting arrested, now losing their kids, all these things. So now you're hearing moms from Texas, from, Michigan, from, more, what would be considered more conservative markets, talking about how they're using cannabis. And I'm really excited because I believe that women are the change, because we're the purchase drivers for household most often. We help the family make wellness purchase decisions. And so as more and more women are coming out of the cannabis closet, we're going to really be able to help be the change that we're looking for in the world.
I love that you touched on moms using cannabis too, because I think that's a particular segment of the industry that's really been demonized.
Yeah, I agree. And I see it so opposite. I see so many cannabis moms who are really changing how they parent and breaking generational trauma. And I know that if I had had cannabis when I was a younger mother, when my kids were young, and like it was so overwhelming for me as a parent, a working parent, and I think if I would have had cannabis, I would have been able to be a much calmer mom. I am a much calmer mom now. There's no yelling or screaming in my house. There's a lot more communication. And I know that many canna moms are working so hard on breaking that generational trauma and helping their families be happier. And cannabis is a catalyst to that.
Yes, it is. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, what's something you see going on in the industry right now that you are not a fan of?
Well, I'm sure you've seen me talking about, my opinions on men in the industry. And, I think a lot of us have been talking lately about the fact that cannabis is a boys' club.
Mhm.
And I think in general, business is a boys' club. So, let's just not demonize necessarily the cannabis industry. However, cannabis industry has come up through illegal means. And there was a lot of time when probably men needed to protect the plant, with guns and, things. And thank goodness for those people. But we don't need that anymore, right? We need now more of like a shepherding of the message and the plant. And we need everyone in to tell their story. And I find on social media and and in person at conferences and things like that, that women are being silenced. They're afraid in the workplace, they're afraid to speak out against things that make them uncomfortable for fear of losing their jobs. And ever since I started talking about this topic, like so many women have come to me in the DMs saying, thank you so much for talking about this. I'm not confident enough to comment on your post, or, but this is just such an important topic. And everybody's like so afraid to talk about it. And so if people are afraid to talk about something, it means it needs to be talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you make such a good point that you see it also in different ways in stoner culture than you necessarily see it in other places in business. You go to a cannabis event and how many women are walking around half naked in fishnets and panties because they're the entertainment that day.
I know. It's interesting. Yeah, I have a topic. I have something I want to talk about that, but not for the story. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's something that we see and we're like, oh, that's part of it for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I do think that not everyone, many people want to change this, like the panties and because what we really want is, yes, we can be beautiful and we can look great and we can be so knowledgeable about the product. And, we should be talked to, not looked at. And I know but I also have a lot of respect for women who make a living off of how they look, and they're willing to do that work. And like, I respect them for that. So it's just a really fine line.
It is absolutely. On the one hand, go make your money, do whatever you need to do, and kudos to you for taking something and monetizing it. But on the other hand, you don't want that to be the only opportunity for advancement.
I worry about like what I worry about, and it's really, this all comes down to a problem with men. This isn't
Mhm.
about women. It's that we're giving this permission to look at women through the male gaze, let's just say on the conference floor. So how can that switch over in the meeting room? How do we switch that over? Like, how is it that you're not judging this woman that you're now having a conversation with about investing millions of dollars in her company? How are you not looking at her in the same way that you're looking at that woman on the conference floor? And I think that this is a man problem, because when we women see her and we're like, you're gorgeous, you look amazing, good on ya. We're not like looking at another woman being like, like, it's just, this is a man thing.
You articulated it so beautifully that we're giving them permission to look at women through the male gaze. And that's not something you can just turn on and turn off depending on the situation you're in. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. But social equity is really important in the cannabis industry, and it's something that a lot of people, including yourself, have talked about. So tell me about how that works at HiCurious and how you guys push for social equity.
Well, the whole reason why I built HiCurious was because I found that there was a huge problem in the industry with being able to start a small business, right? I mean, being able to get a payment provider. This is one of the hardest things to do in cannabis, and extremely expensive. Not something that the average person who's just starting a business can do, because they're going to get kicked off Stripe, they're going to get kicked off PayPal, they're going to get kicked off Square, right? So you're building, like, I wanted to build a place where it would be easy for people to open a business and start making money. So I actually built HiCurious so that I could empower others to build their own businesses. And then I take a cut of what they build, instead of it being, and like helping them build it. So I don't know, for me, being an agency person my whole life and like charging people to help them build something, I was really excited about the opportunity to be about, like, when you do well, I do well. And so for me, equity means, like, this is available for everyone. Anyone who wants to start a business can start an LLC, can get paid 1090 by 1099. It can show up every day and do this work. And so to me, I mean, that means that, and I want HiCurious to be, like, as a platform, an extremely rich, diverse place of diverse in thought, diverse in experience, in age, in across the board, with the core element being that we all know that cannabis is medicine, and we're advancing that mission. So that means that we may have different political um, views on certain things, but at HiCurious, our mission is about cannabis being seen as a wellness supplement in the future, and that we're all about that. So for me, that's what equity looks like, at our company, at least.
Awesome. And as we look to the future in the cannabis industry, what do you envision? What do you see?
Oh no, it's like, don't you think it's like every day you feel something different is going to happen? I mean, I think lately, like ever since the State of the Union address, definitely feeling ever more confident that legalization is many years off, and not something that, you know, as an industry, we should even be kind of focusing on. Because honestly, like, if you think about it, let's just say next year, Biden, which is not happening, Biden was like, we're going to legalize cannabis. We have no infrastructure in place whatsoever to actually figure out, what does federal legalization look like, or does it get left to the states? Then is it, how different is it? Like, just, I don't know. So I guess I'm most excited about watching this next 7 years, like mind shift. It's already changed so much in the 4 years that I've been in the industry. So to see how it's going to shift, like, in the next 7 years, between now and 2030, as this, like, next generation comes in and is starting to, like, be more leadership oriented in the space, I just think it's just going to be like we could never have predicted where we'd be today. COVID accelerated cannabis so much. So we can't predict where we're going to be in 7 years, but it's so fun to be on this ride.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I think you're right with the federal legalization, and I've heard that from other people too, that even if it was in the realm of possibility, which it's not the point of this.
Exactly.
So since you have launched your app, which of course is no small task, what is the biggest challenge you and your company have overcome?
Well, in terms of, I wrote down because I was like, gosh, this is a tough one. Did I write this one? No. Because I was like, whew. What is the biggest challenge? We're still overcoming our challenges. I mean, I don't think that I could say that we have overcome, any of the challenges yet. We're just constantly being creative in trying to fight the algorithm, and figure out how to really create unity, like with our people who like want to be a part of our community, and figure out how to use like strength in numbers to help break through. But I think the biggest challenge for anyone in the cannabis industry is awareness. I mean, you can't buy Facebook ads, you can't buy Google words. SEO obviously is doable, but extremely expensive if you want to get it great. So generally, I don't know, I think that the answer to your question is that the biggest challenge is capital. And we've overcome raising capital. We haven't overcome raising capital yet. The only way we've raised capital is through my friends and family. And we're at the stage right now where we're doing a raise. And so I'm very excited to get a seat at some tables and have some good conversations about, funding this vision, which I truly believe supports the cannabis industry's growth as a whole, because we're creating little, hopefully thousands of little businesses, and hopefully not too little, of people making thousands of dollars a month and on our platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I hear from a lot of business owners is capital is such a challenge in this industry.
Yeah, and it's like passion is amazing, but you can't eat it,
Yeah.
and like I have an amazing team, and they've been working for free for like 4 months, and it's hard. I mean, every time we get a little payment here and there, I give it to the team. But this is what being an entrepreneur is, and it's hard. Not many people are in that position to be able to not make income.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's not unique to the industry, but it is unique within the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unique to the industry, but I do think that funding is a lot more free in other industries. This industry, first of all, this takes a certain kind who wants to be an investor today.
Hmm.
And then you got to jump through a million other things. Do they want to be plant touching? Do they want to be non-plant touching? Do they want to be in tech? Do they understand the concept of what we're building? It's definitely, that's been a big challenge for us, is sometimes we've gotten up to bat with investors, and a lot of investors are, somewhere between like Gen X and boomers, right? And they might not understand the subscription model of an app platform, and it's very challenging to explain. But now it's gotten a little bit easier because I've been working on this for 2 years, this model, and the subscription model. And people didn't understand why people would have subscribed to other people. Like, it was very challenging to have that conversation. But Instagram just announced that they're piloting subscription model for creators. And LinkedIn is going to start doing it. I think they're going to monetize the newsletters. Twitter's also doing it. And then obviously there's Patreon and OnlyFans and Circle and a million other, places where you can monetize your community, but there is no place in cannabis for it except for HiCurious.
So what's something that you are really proud of that you might not get to talk about a lot?
Like I was thinking about this one, like as not, this isn't like necessarily related to the business. Like it's more personal, I guess.
That's fine.
But it's business related. And it's that like, sometimes I don't give myself a lot of credit for the fact that I raised my kids as a single mom and their dad. I'm in the middle of something. Can you close the door? Thank you. I knew it always comes in like right at that moment, right?
Perfect timing.
Whatever. They were fine until you came. So I gave myself I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was living in New York. I was living on Long Island. I was commuting to New York City. And I knew that my kid's dad would eventually not be paying. I just knew at the time. And I just had this goal that I would be in a position where I didn't need anyone else to care, to care for my kids and pay for my kids. And I'd be able to give them a lifestyle that, and it meant, he just came in here joking because we joke around how like I wasn't around a lot. I had a nanny. My mom was also very involved and all this. But if I was a single dad and I was doing what I did, people would be like, oh my God, he's the best dad. He's so involved, da, da, da. He's like all the time on the weekends. He's there. He goes to all the games, whatever. But a mom is supposed to, right? So I guess that's just something that I'm really proud of that I don't sometimes give myself enough credit for and being that it's International Women's Day, like I'm giving myself credit for the fact that like I showed up probably more like a dad like a single dad for the earlier parts of my kid's life, and now with cannabis, I've actually changed how I parent so much. My kids, my 16-year-old who like, he was just playing and joking with me, like, about this. We would never have been able to joke about that before,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you deserve a lot of credit for that. It is not easy to do at all. And moms don't get enough credit, period, especially single moms.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I don't know. I see my friends doing it still. I see people doing it. It's the hardest thing. Being a single mom is the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
luckily I had my mom my mom was like my co-parent until I met until my husband moved in and everything. Like, my mom was amazing and we lived in the same town and she was always there. But yeah, it's just so
incredibly challenging. Yeah, absolutely. So when people come to HiCurious, what do you want them to take away from an experience with the app?
The most important thing to me is that people feel seen. That's what I believe differentiates HiCurious from other social media platforms, is that when you come to HiCurious, especially when you join a live stream of any of our streamers, you're going to immediately feel like you're a part of something. You make a comment, 4 people are going to introduce themselves to you in the comment stream. They're going to tell you good morning or good evening. They're going to welcome you. They're going to ask you where you're from. The streamer is going to ask you where you're from. They're going to ask, like, you're just going to start to feel like you're a part of something. And so I want people to feel seen and feel like they want to be a part of it. And that's like our one thing is like, if you want to be in, you're in. It's not like it's what that come be a part of it as much as you want to be a part of it. I just want people to feel, seen. And I think that's the thing that we're missing so much on social media. It's like my whole gripe with men and blah, blah, blah. It all comes down to feeling like you're not being seen, right? You're out here like on regular social media, I think what has become, it used to be a connection tool, but what it's really become now is like, look at me. And especially in cannabis, since we don't really have any other look at me tools. So I think that like, that's why I call it the antidote for social to social media for cannabis people, because it's a place where you can actually, it's not as much, it's not a competition for likes, and follows and it's not a popularity contest. Like everyone's the same popular.
It's been a while since social media was not a popularity contest.
Exactly. So
It's like what Instagram has made their entire platform into.
Instagram legitimately is high school.
It is.
It's like the popularity contest of high school. There's the cool kids. There's, there's the rich kids. It's just like, it's,
how did they code that?
I know, right?
Oh, it's crazy.
It really is.
So what's next for HiCurious? What do you guys have coming this year? What's in the works?
Well, really excited. We have our 420 event coming up. And I don't know when you're going to publish, but we're looking for people who want to participate right now.
Okay.
So we're looking for both sponsors as well as participants. So if you're somebody who's looking to build a business in the cannabis industry and you'd like to share your business or yourself with us and the community on 420, we're doing a 16-hour live stream. So yeah, so we're trying to fit like lots of different people and things into it, both, people with like larger followings, but also people with smaller followings who are like looking to get their feet wet. And so because like we're more interested in like content and it being amazing. Like we want it to be like yogis and, and like we want it to be mindfulness and, and we want I think Jordan Wagman is going to be teaching a cooking class. And we're going to have like Sarah Kasem, who's like a big Clubhouse person, doing some stuff. We're going to be, so we got like some great initial interest in participating. So we're really excited, but we're definitely looking for more people because that's like those are our prospects anyway, like people who want to then build, businesses on the platform. So it's good for us. And then on the other side is businesses who want to sponsor. So for $420, you'll get your logo. I do everything in 420s, 1420s.
I love it.
So for 420, you get your logo on all of our materials, and all the materials of all the performers for 20 days. So or 16 days from April 4th to the 20th. And then you get inclusion in a photo shoot during 420 and photos after to be used, on your own social media. You also can give us a 1-minute video commercial to run up to 10 times during the day on 420, because we're going to have like commercial breaks and we're going to go to our sponsors. And you can also have up to 15 minutes to like on the day to go live and talk about your product. So
nice. Well, this will be coming out before 420,
okay.
whatever next Friday is, the 18th. So
okay.
This will be coming out about a month
Perfect
in advance.
Time.
So
perfect time.
If you're listening, go check it out. See what kind of space they have left. Awesome. So what else are you guys looking forward to beyond that? Because I know you have so many things going on.
Yeah, so we are doing a capital raise right now. So we're looking for investors to help us get to that next level. Our goal is to get to 100,000 downloads within the next 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, as well as have like 50 creators that were really making amazing content. So that's like, and then in about 2 years, what we'll probably do, this is a lot far out there, but just as people are always like, how are you going to scale? Eventually, we're going to try to we're not going to try, we're going to bring on someone who has a huge following, right? Like whether that my dream person, who this is never happening, but my dream person is Casey Musgraves. She's, I'm obsessed with
Mhm.
her. You're probably obsessed with her too. Obviously she's like a huge reach, but she uses
Mhm.
cannabis. She would like, the idea would be that she would have like her cannabis fan club, would be on HiCurious. I mean, I know this is hugely far-fetched, but something like that to be able to bring us um, that kind of exposure and awareness. But over the course of the next 2 years, definitely participating in Vegas week, doing a content house in October in Vegas.
Ooh.
Yeah, which will be great. I should have done it last year, but I didn't. I did it in 2019 and 2018 and 2019, and it was really successful for me. And then, yeah, so just growth. Growing the team as soon as we raised capital, hiring a marketing agency, and just really scaling. The most important, we got it all down now. Like we know what we do, we know what we do well, we know we have our processes down. We're ready to raise our seed round and get this thing to fly.
Awesome. That's great. So personally, what is your favorite way to consume cannabis?
Oh, I love at least a 6-inch water pipe, or a bong, you decide what you want to call it. I usually call it a bong, a beaker bong, or I also have been really loving the chill steel pipes. I don't know if you have one of those, but I don't have it in here, but it's like, it's stainless steel and ceramic coated on the inside. So you can put ice in it. And I love that. And I mean, I like the glass bongs as well. But yeah, when I first started using cannabis, everybody was like smoking joints, but it feels like cigarettes to me. And it's just like, so like, I don't know, there's just something about it that just feels unhealthy. I know that like doing a bong rip probably doesn't feel healthy to some people, but like for me, it's like going through the water, and that there's like, I don't know, I can manage my dose. Like even like vape pens make me kind of like feel, I mean, I use them because they're kind of like a necessary evil, but like I still like feel like that's like smoking. I don't know why. It's just a mental thing.
There's nothing in tobacco that's even close to a bong rip, so
Right.
I love that. I also love a nice bong rip. It's extremely satisfying, particularly if it's the end of a long day. You pack a bowl, you take a rip, and it's just like the weight is instantly lifted.
Yeah, I'm like I still am a microdoser, but I microdose a lot more often than I used to. So
Mhm.
you do consume a lot of cannabis, but just in small doses, but like throughout the course of the day. So I love the bong because you could just put your bowl in there, corner it, and have like
Mhm.
4 or 5 little hits in there, and then, come back. Like that could be half a day for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love a nice bong.
So.
So this has been absolutely wonderful. I've so enjoyed getting to pick your brain. I have one more question for you, but before I get into it, is there anything else you want to touch on or mention?
No, I'm very thrilled that we've had the chance to talk, and I'm excited to learn about your work at the Canigma, and also to think about how we might work together in the future, because I love your work. Um, and I know that we've talked about doing stuff together in some way. So maybe you want to participate in some way for 420. We'll figure it out. But
We'll have to chat.
yeah.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. I know you and I have been connected on LinkedIn and on Instagram for a long time, but this is our first chance to actually sit down and have a conversation, which is great.
Yes. Yes.
So, my last question for you today is, out of everything you know about cannabis, what is your favorite fun fact?
My favorite fun fact is that we only learned about the endocannabinoid system in the 90s. And that is one of those ones that I love to just drop on people, right? Because they're like, they think they know a lot about cannabis. And if you're like from the past, you're like, well, I don't know if you know this, but the endocannabinoid system, which is an actual system in our body, was not discovered until the 90s and is still not taught in most medical schools. And this is an actual receptor system within our body that has like can be balanced or imbalanced, just like other
Mhm.
receptors in our body. And people are always blown away by that, like wait, so there's an endocannabinoid system, which means there really is a key and lock situation here in cannabis. And I do believe, and this is like very far-fetched, and people probably would not love to hear this from me or anyone, but I think that if we started supplementing children with cannabinoids at like from birth, right? As a mom is using it, and then it's in the breast milk, and then the kids get, some CBD in there, whatever. I think that we might not have as many diseases as we have today because we don't know a lot about I'm not a doctor, by the way, at all. I could barely like diagnose my own athlete's foot. Okay. So whatever. But what I just feel like from being a person who didn't use cannabis and now who uses cannabis is so much more whole and more well and more balanced. And if I could have had that in my system from early on in my life, then perhaps the anxiety that I battle and the, other things that I deal with in my life might not have been so pressing, and I might have been able to be more successful sooner.
Absolutely. You touch on such an important point there. So many people do not know we have an endocannabinoid system, and they don't know that an imbalance in your system leads to so many health issues. Things like anxiety and depression are linked to endocannabinoid deficiencies. What?
Exactly. And you realize that when I'm medicating correctly, which to me, that means using cannabis throughout the course of the day. It doesn't mean waiting till the end of the day when I really need it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then I live my life feeling balanced all the time, which means I make better food choices. I hydrate better. I exercise more. I meditate more. I'm outside more because I think a lot of people live their lives like, I got to get this done and then I can be happy. And sometimes that happiness is a joint or is a beer or whatever. Instead, for me, I use I'll have an edible in the morning, and that just like sets instead of a cup of coffee, and it just sets my day up, and I'm in a great mood for the rest of the day because I started off in a good place. Like I didn't, right? And it's kind of like the whole getting out of bed on the wrong side, getting out on the wrong side of the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helps you get back in and get back out on the right side.
Yes, that's exactly what cannabis does. It helps you get back out of bed on the right side. It gives you that lift, that boost that is really hard to get on your own sometimes.
It just like reminds you that you're going to be okay.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be okay. Like this too shall pass. You got through it yesterday. You'll get through it today. It gives you this, like, for me, it gives me a sense of calm and like where I usually have a lot of overthink, like and I consider overthink, like, it's not just I'm thinking too much. It's like I think, and then I think over that, and I'm thinking over that and over that and over that. It like I can just hear one solid voice, so,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if, my therapist thinks that maybe I have undiagnosed ADHD. I think so many of us probably have that given the life that we've had to adapt to. And I believe that cannabis is a huge help for that because you're like, if you use cannabis with intention, okay, I'm going to have this hit and then I'm going to go write that email. Like for me, I'm going to go have this hit and go write that email. That's,
You're giving yourself that dopamine in advance of the task rather than waiting and trying to pull it up when you're done. And especially if you have ADHD, you don't get that dopamine from executive function. You don't get that task finish satisfaction. And cannabis can really help with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just redid my whole website this weekend, and I just was like, medicate, medicate, medicate. Because if you want to just get through stuff that like, you got to go back and fix it. You got to do it. It's, it's stuff you don't really want to do, but cannabis just helps you feel like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes from like, oh my God, there's so many pieces to this task to one piece at a time, one piece at a time.
It's true. Yeah. And that's what I want everyone to know. I mean, I didn't mention my book, but I don't know. So that's what I wanted everyone to know about, and why I wrote this book. HiCurious, and it's available on Amazon, as well as on Audible, read by me. Believe it or not, it came out to 4 hours and 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah. It might be like 19 or 21, but it's like right there. It's pretty
That's so
amazing.
funny.
And I really just, when I learned about cannabis and when I discovered cannabis for myself, I was like, why isn't everyone doing this? Like, why isn't anyone talking about it like this? So I just hope that my story and the stories that, told on HiCurious every day can help inspire more people to try using cannabis, because I think that it will change so many lives.
Well, we are agreed on that. Thank you so much for sharing some time with me today. I really appreciate having you on, and I'm so excited to share this.
Me too. Thank you so, so much.